Welcome to Greenland. We are now practicing our survival skills because the ice around our boat is on the verge of breaking up and we need to be ready. For almost half a year we've been frozen in, and throughout that time we've heard the same comment again and again. The ice will surely crush our boat at the latest in the spring when it breaks up. With hundreds of tons of ice still packed into the bay, the forces involved can be immense when the ice finally lets go. We will now follow the final weeks of our time here, right up to the moment that everything changes and the ice breaks up. So today we are going to evacuate the rest of our stuff from ashore, and well, you will see the reason here. We are living the final moments here. Check out the boat. The boat is floating free. And suddenly we only have around 100 meters to open water. And walking on this feels super sketchy, but it is actually pretty thick still. Nova is the only one wearing a life vest. It's pretty cool actually that now you can hear the waves and the ocean. Hyppää.
Oho, tossa onkin.
What do you think? Are we gonna wear the dry suits ever?
Like here?
Yeah.
No.
Like is now not the time?
No, I have these.
Okay, we don't need a dry suit. It's fine. I mean, surely it's fine. I'm actually more worried about these huge ice blocks here. They keep coming up and down with the tide. And sometimes they get stuck like in an intermediate position. You know, sometimes they're just like hanging up in the air. And then if you step on them, it might like fall down. Look at these huge blocks here. These cracks here are probably like 2 or 3 meters deep. Anyway, let's look at our stuff here on the shore. Okay, this is what we have left here. 3 gas cans and 1 is diesel, I think. Yeah, this one's diesel, the others are gas. So in the end, it turns out we had too much gas. You know, we used those for our small generator during the winter when there was no sun, and also for the snowmobile. But of course you always have to pack some extra. Eikö tässä ole eilisenkin jälkeen lähtenyt? Yeah. A lot of ice has left here, like during just the last 24 or 48 hours. Okei, käydäänkö ylhäällä vielä?
Käydään tässä vaan. Joo.
Like we've said before, the biggest danger here is that if there is a big storm from the south, you know, and then the ice breaks up, it's gonna push all of the ice towards us and towards our boat and towards our shorelines. There's a lot of power in that when it starts moving. Hui!
Leikkauksen.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, all of these empty canisters also now need to go aboard. Yeah, these and those. I mean, we did bring all of this in one trip, so it's definitely possible to fit all of that in there. I'm just not sure how it's gonna look like. Okay, one thing that we have to do here at the stern of the boat, I mean, a lot of arranging, but here, this is the rear daggerboard box, and in here we had things like this. So this is styrofoam blocks, and I just wrap some plastic around them so it doesn't fall apart. And we filled the daggerboard case with this stuff just to make sure that, you know, when the ice freezes and expands, just that it doesn't damage the box. This was just like an extra safety precaution. Not really a pretty solution, but okay, that's in there.
The tidal difference here is now around 3 to 4 meters. Each tide cycle brings in relatively warm water from the open sea. This warm water slowly but surely eats away at the ice. Luckily, we've mostly had good weather, so the ice hasn't broken up all at once. Each passing day, it carves away at the edge, little by little. But now the ice is starting to get tangled up in our shorelines, and we know that's likely going to cause us issues very soon.
But before that, this is now the absolute last chance to grab one of these prints. I am extending the print sale by a couple of weeks just because I wanted to have the prints available until the last winter video is released. But it turns out that winter lasted a little bit longer than we anticipated. So this might now just be the last winter video, and this is why I'm still offering these prints for a couple more weeks. Go ahead and check them out at art.alluringarctic.com. These are printed on rigid aluminum panels that require no framing, and all of the photos are shot either by me or by our friend Ampe, who visited us here in Greenland. They are really nice looking prints, and I am behind the whole store. So if you have any issues with the prints, or if you have any questions, if you send an email to the address mentioned on the website, it's gonna be me answering that. Go ahead and check them out at art.alluringarctic.com. And getting one of these prints is also a great way to support the channel and the video creation process. Thanks. Okay, we got the boat somewhat sorted. That took us a couple of days, and now we are so friggin' close. So close to the open water. It's kind of windy though, but let's go and have a look. Have to be really careful now though. So first of all, here behind the boat, it is so rotten already. You see all these holes that just go straight through. The problem with the melting ice is that it might seem thick and it might be thick, but if it's really rotten, then you'll just sink all the way through anyway. Oh, yeah, whoa. Okay, you can see, you can feel it when you step on it, but this big piece of ice here, there is a crack here, and the whole piece has already disattached from the rest of the ice. You see how it's moving when I step on it? So what's gonna happen is when this wind stops, you know, we have wind coming into the bay now. When it stops and then when the tide goes out, then this whole piece, it's gonna float off. So what's not really so great right now is that the ice is getting pushed towards our boat and then towards the shore, but it is not that windy yet, so we are doing fine. Walking here I can also feel the waves, which is kind of funny. It kind of makes you a little bit dizzy walking on the ice, and you think that you are on a solid surface, but you are not. It's moving, kind of makes you a bit seasick. Let's go and check out this shoreline because that's holding most of the weight of the boat right now. But look here. Oh, that's a hole. Let the children play is what we say in Finnish. But yeah, the line looks fine. It's a little bit tangled up with the ice blocks, but otherwise it's fine. So I'm sure there's some people who are gonna say, hey, why don't you just like cut your way open, or why don't you just try to break through with the boat? Well, first of all, the boat with the 55 horsepower engine, it is not enough horsepower to break through this ice. When we had our first attempt in the early winter, we found out that we can just about break through the ice that cannot be walked on. So if you cannot walk on it, then we could break through that. But then when the ice got thicker and it was thick enough to walk on, in those areas we were not able to break through. Now in the spring it might be a little bit different because the ice is not, it's a little bit more rotten, it's different consistency, but I still don't think it's worth it. You might damage the propeller and so on. Then cutting our way through here, yeah, I don't know about that, because if there is any wind here, we do have a manual ice saw, and when the ice is like this, it's actually pretty easy to saw. But let's say we clear a lane here. Well, if there's any wind like this, then the wind is just gonna push and the ice shut again. So that's not really gonna help either. So honestly, I think the best solution for us right now still is to just wait. Even though we are so close, we just wait. And there's one thing that I maybe could do, and I'm gonna try it now. Not really sure if this is worth it, but let's give it a try. So my theory or my hope with this is that because we have pretty good stable weather for the next 3 or 4 days hopefully, then maybe this can speed up the process just enough that the ice will go away during those days. You know, we would like it to happen when the weather is good, obviously, because we have good weather in forecast. I'm just kind of trying to speed up the process a little bit. Milloin ajattelet, että lähtee tuo jää?
2 päivän päästä.
Ylihuomenna vasta. Ylihuomenna on vapaa käytävä tosta mennä.
Näin.
Situation update here. Now the whole ice flow has started moving towards the head of the bay. It's getting pushed by the current and the wind. And our lines here at the bow are super tight. Oh shit, that's actually really tight. You see that the boat is now on top of the ice here, so the boat is getting pulled on top of the ice. So now basically the boat is holding this whole ice flow in place with our shorelines. The line is like extremely tight. In the meanwhile, we are trying to get Nova to pee on her pee mat again. Nova doesn't know what's expected of her. Oh, pissa. Nova pissa. Yeah, here at this turn now we have this open water area. Because that's where we used to be. So right now it's not really like a huge problem, but you can see how it might be a problem if this was a big storm and not just a moderate amount of wind.
Okei, meidän puolella. Ole hyvä, Lahti. Niin no.
Jos noin pamahtaisi toi köysi poikki, niin kyllä meillä sitten tässä olisi silleen pikku probleemi.
On toimii, se on palvelu. 3 vuotta meillä.
And so it happened that just after our 180th day celebration, we woke up to a completely different world.
Alright, good morning guys. Pretty amazing that just yesterday I walked straight across here and now we woke up and well, things have changed a lot. Now we need to get a stand-up paddleboard and a dry suit and find a way to get our lines free, because now with the ice floating around, our lines are getting all tangled up in the ice and we are really getting tugged back and forth by the lines because there's some wind coming in and so on. At this point we honestly could escape if we wanted to, so we could just push forward and we would be out of here. And that was the original plan. The original plan was that, you know, we would push our way out so we wouldn't have to deal with all of this ice here. But honestly, the situation seems like pretty calm. So I think we're going to stay here because we have to wait until our anchor points are free of ice before we can clean all of, you know, before we can gather all of our stuff and take it with us. Obviously, we're not going to leave anything behind. So just need to free these lines so that they're not tangled up in the ice. So this way the ice can move freely. But it's actually the green line there that's more of a problem. Yeah, so you see now, this is where the line used to be originally. Now the whole boat has moved and the ice has moved. That's where the line is now. And it's stuck here inside this ice block. The anchor is over there. So, I don't know, I could try and hack this apart, but it's probably honestly not worth it. I will try to go over there to the shore and check the anchor point. And try to jump across here or something. Okay, that broke. Whoa! Check this. Whoa! Okay, here's the anchor. Let's try to push this one out of the way so we can see it. I can't get it off. I think the line might be embedded inside the ice, but it looks fine though. Obviously, the boulder that we are using is inside this huge ice block over there. Whoa! Okay, that broke off. Okay, well, I did fall through. Now look, all of this ice is caught up on the line here. So let's put the line on top of the ice and see what happens. Okay, let's look at this anchor here. If you remember, in the winter we lassoed this whole thing to use as an anchor. So the line goes all the way back there. So this thing here needs to melt or disintegrate before we can get the line out. Oh, look at this. So cool. Gonna take a quick walk here on this bank just to have a look. Okay, I can't resist. Okay, this is a big one. Oops. Okay, that one was in the air. That's a little bit sketchy. Okay, back to the boat. Handy bridge. Kokkoloro. Yhdesti tipuin. Okay, it has begun. all of this ice here is caught up on our bow line now. The tide is going out, so I need to go and free the line. And this is probably going to last a long while. There's so much ice here still, and all of that wants to come out tonight.
We kept working through the night to keep our lines free of ice and to let as much ice as possible flow out of the bay with the outgoing current. We could have just left the bay and waited for our anchor points to thaw and then come back and collect all of our gear. Unfortunately, there's really no good anchorage nearby, so that wasn't an appealing option. We also knew that if we simply let go of our lines and left them here, they'd quickly get extremely tangled. It wasn't until late at night that we started experiencing real trouble.
Okay, it's around 1 a.m. and the tide has really started going out, and now this huge ice flow is pushing against our rudder. Oh, the rudder is still turning though. Yeah, I was hoping that this big one would break into pieces as well, but so far it hasn't. Tää on tälleen. Pääs kyllä se niinku osuu, mutta ei se silleen. Okei, laitetaan mun moottori päälle. Päästään peräkäydyt ja mennään noiden kelkaiseen varaan. Katsotaan mitä sitten tapahtuu. Okei, mä menen ottaa nyt kelkaisia, että me ei sotkenuta niihin. Alright, the executive decision has been made to leave the stern lines behind. We need to come back for them. The rudder was getting pushed by this huge ice flow. It just wasn't good. I really don't want to screw up, not right now at the last moments. Kala on jumissa. So now we are just resting with the bow lines only. So we're gonna see what happens. We can have the boat here across the bay with just two lines, you know, one line attached to the stern and one to the bow. You can't really leave the lines like this because the boat will keep spinning around and the line will get tangled on our rudder or whatever. Kello on nyt varmaan joku 3. Vai?
En mä katsonut mitään.
Okay, now it really started clearing out. Yeah, now it's really moving. Okay, so the real question is what happens when the big ice flow there reaches us. This one, for example, is kind of big as well, but it looks like it's just going to kind of like float by. Tää oli siinä meidän eessä. Sinne se nyt menee. Tossa oli vaan paikka, missä on noita merilevää.
We kept working on the lines and we kept a watch throughout the next couple of days. Unfortunately, the outgoing current always happened in the middle of the night, so this same scene repeated itself over the next 2 nights. Honestly, we were slightly regretting our choice of staying, but things improved each hour.
Okay, good morning. We are now officially free of the ice, you could say. Nothing in that direction. And then here, the ice is at the head of the bay. So we do have another thing to deal with now though. You see how we are just attached with these 2 anchor points, stern and bow, and the wind is coming from the side, and this is exactly the reason why we prefer to anchor instead of using shorelines. Because if you are in this kind of a situation where the wind is coming from the beam and you only got lines from bow and stern, then there's gonna be some huge pressure on the lines. This line is just super tight, you know. It's just extremely tight. In a wind like this, if you were anchoring just normally, you know, the boat would be aligned with the wind. There would be very little force on the anchor. With the shorelines though, well, it's not optimal right now. You know, what you can do is, of course, you could attach both of the lines to the bow. Then you are aligned to the wind, but then when the wind shifts, the lines are gonna get tangled. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll just ease the stern line. And when I ease it, the boat is gonna move that way and the angle on the lines is gonna become a little bit better. Last night we took turns watching the ice until around 7 a.m. when we both went to bed. So we're kind of tired. But let's see if we are ready for a walk. Mennäänkö kävelylle? Wow, it's so different here suddenly. So this is obviously the line that we let go earlier. We might have a chance of getting it now before it gets like too tangled up. Oh. Nyt oli lämmin. Oh my god, look at the dog. Oh no. And the butt. One good thing about winter and snow is that the dog was so clean the whole winter. I think she was cleaner than we were. Okay, the boat is still here, or the dinghy. It's securely fastened here, as you can see, to the ice. It is actually pretty. Okay. There we go. Now we try to find the next line, the green one. Where the actual anchor is underneath all of this, so that's gonna have to stay there. I'm just gonna grab the line and that's it. We will come back for all of the anchor points. We are not gonna leave them here. But for now, has to stay. Mama, kato. Kyllä sitä silloin talvella vielä kiinnostaa. Okay, unfortunately, just as we want to leave, there is wind now and it's pushing us against the head of the bay. But the plan is we're gonna drop the anchor here and then we are easing the lines to let the boat drift and hopefully the anchor catches. We're gonna anchor here on short scope. We're gonna try and move quick now because with a few hundred meters of line in the water and anchoring with short scope and so on, something's gonna get tangled up or go wrong if you wait long enough. So well, that's the last time I get this view from this bay. You see how I had the dinghy here? It's completely secure, huh? This one's interesting because this one was completely under ice just day before yesterday. In the evening it was still completely under ice. Now the ice is gone. Joo, hyvä, no hyvä. This is what 880 meters of line and 30 empty diesel cans look like. An absolute mess. Let's hope that there is no swell on our way to Sisimiut, because if there is, we're gonna be really screwed. Noah is a little bit scared. We are a little bit scared as well.
We had essentially laid up the boat for the winter, and motoring out of the bay felt like going for a first sail after being on the hard for a long while. That's always a bit of a nervous moment, because you are half expecting something to go wrong. So we were honestly concentrating more on the boat than on the fact that we were now leaving the place that we had called home for over half a year. Once we exited the bay, we experienced some small waves, but nothing went wrong, and after a few hours of uneventful motoring, we had the town of Sisimiut in sight.
Se on kesä nyt.
Oh.
Sisimiut, here we are. And the same fishing boats here. The same fishing boats that we are going to annoy by our presence. We already know the owner of this boat, so we are hopefully good here.
That was a great winter and we all enjoyed it really a lot. These videos are obviously a little bit behind real time. We got out of the ice 3 weeks ago approximately, and we've taken the time to decompress a little bit, so maybe just a couple of quick words about the whole experience. You know, a lot of people have asked us about why we did this, and if it's not obvious from the videos, you know, we really wanted to stay in one place for a longer time and experience the seasons change from autumn into winter, and then into spring, and then into summer. And we wanted to get to know one place really well. You know, we really enjoyed the fact that we could go on small walks and really get to know each nook and cranny and all of these small ridges and ponds and so on in the vicinity of our bay. You know, as sailors, we are often moving from one place to another quite rapidly, even though our cruising pace is quite lazy. You know, we don't really do that long distances per season. Even then, you know, it was really nice to stay in one specific place for a longer time. We all felt, and I know I can speak for Sophie and Nova as well, that we felt that the winter was actually quite short. We could have stayed for a couple of months longer easily. We still had enough food, you know, even though we had this snowmobile for part of the winter. We actually had provisioned already in the beginning, before we came into the bay. We provisioned for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 months. So we still had some food left, and everything was really going well, and it felt like we were just really getting used to it. So yeah, we really liked it a lot. What else should I say? Maybe a little bit about the mental struggle. The biggest reason that the whole overwintering thing was actually a little bit demanding mentally was that there were a lot of unknowns when it comes to overwintering. You know, there's no manual that you can download or get from a library. No manual on like how to do this, and relatively few people have done it. We were in direct contact with some people who have done it, so that helped us a lot. But there is no like statistical significance to what has been done in regards to this overwintering thing in the modern times with modern boats, because it hasn't been done all that much. So we didn't feel unprepared, but we just felt like there were more unknowns than what we were used to. Even compared to the Northwest Passage, you know, we sailed from Alaska to Greenland last year. Even compared to that, I felt like the overwintering thing was a little bit more exciting, more challenging, a little bit more nerve-wracking, and yeah, just overall a little bit more of a challenging experience in total. But everything went well in the end, and all of the doubters in the YouTube comment section were wrong. You know, the boat did not get crushed, and we survived. We are still alive. Obviously, we had a pretty good idea that the boat wouldn't get crushed. You know, being in a static situation like that in a protected bay, there's actually not that much pressure on the hull. And already when we bought this boat in California 3 years ago, we started preparing for the overwintering. So, you know, we had the through hulls welded shut and so on and so forth. So there was a lot of thought that has gone into this over the years. So for anyone else, please do not consider any of the videos to be like a manual or any kind of a guide on how to overwinter in the ice, because I did not get into the technical details really much at all. You know, I found that they were not really like that important part of the story. Maybe I should make like a separate video about the technical stuff later, but I didn't want to like lecture about that stuff too much, so that wasn't really included in the videos at all. For sure the next few videos are going to be from Greenland, and it's an incredible place to sail and to hike and ski and fish and see some icebergs and so on. So those are going to be like really cool videos. And otherwise, as to our future, I'm just gonna say that we are going to keep Nova, because a lot of you have been asking about that. Yes, we are going to keep Nova. When we first got her, we kind of kept the option that we could have returned her to the dog town here in Sissimute. We kept that option kind of open, but we were just fooling ourselves, you know. I mean, there's no way we could give her away now after all of this. So Nova is now getting used to the life in the boat on open water, or in open water, however you say it, and she's taking to it really well. So yeah, she will likely be one of the first, if not the first, sailing Greenland dog. And other than that, check out the print sale. I extended it because the winter was longer and getting this video out took longer than I thought, so I extended it for a couple more weeks. So this is the last chance to get a print if you want one. Check them out at art.alluringarctic.com, and if the prints are not your thing, and if you still want to support the creation of these videos, then check out my Patreon page. I will link that down below in the description as well, and I will see you all again next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.